This is just a quick demonstration of NVEnc and the actual watts used by NVEnc. It's billed as a separate part of the graphics card that does encoding, but it really uses graphics card resources as well. So I'm going to show, using World of Warcraft, how much power it uses on its own. So make sure it's not recording. Okay, no recording. Wait. So this is just a quick demonstration of how much graphics card power and actual watts get used by NVEnc encoder. It's billed as a separate part of the graphics card that does encoding, but it really uses GPU resources as well. So I've got World of Warcraft, the Burning Crusade Classic version with vsync on, with Menethil Harbor, with these waves that create a moving image, so it's not really especially easy on the encoder. So let me try to get a better ocean view actually. Yeah, without the ship, because the ship's gonna change. But there, and you've got the ripples in the water and then these little moving things, a windmill. So let's see, and then I've got a Elgato Stream Deck with my stats. So I've got clock. This is lower than the max clock. I've got an RTX 2060 Super, and my CPU watts and usage and all that. I have a Intel i5 9400, and this says CUDA, but it's really I think in Hardware Info 64 it is Compute 0. And that's the one thing that shows a difference when you're doing encoding. The CUDA stays at 0. Also got QuickSync, which is the Intel encoder, and I've got the NVEnc percentage. The GPU percentage doesn't really mean much because it varies depending on clock. So it's basically a percentage of that clock, I guess. So you'll see. I'm gonna start recording. So I've got the vsync, so you see 60 frames per second locked. So that's why the GPU usage is so low. This is out of like 185 max. So I'm gonna start recording. Let's see, recording has started. And so instead of, I think that the wattage was around 100, now it's 145. And that compute is 5%. What does that mean exactly? I'm not sure, because that, about 50 watts, that seems like a lot more than 5% of the graphics card power. But then the clock has also gone up, and so you see the usage has actually gone down because it's not actual usage, it's out of that clock. So the clock is almost doubled, or not almost, but it's increased by a lot. And so this has gone down. CPU is about the same, only 16 watts. This is a 65 watt max processor. That's the max I've seen. And then the NVEnc usage is only 16%. And this is this is recording at 4K actually, with the lowest bitrate and NVIDIA experience. And that would be NV12 color. So it's recording. This is what usually people use for recording in general, whether it's video or games or whatever it is. Your chroma is half the resolution of your luminance. So like this is 4K, but only the brightness is recorded in full 4K, and then the color data is only like 1920 by 1080 basically. Okay, so I'm going to stop this experience recording. Now I'm going to do OBS, because OBS, for one thing, I have it set to use HEVC, high efficiency video codec, which is more modern. Like GoPro cameras have that option, and most DSLRs now record in HEVC. It's more efficient but uses more processing power. And then I also have some different settings versus the NVIDIA. So I am doing, well, constant quality, which is basically VBR. It'll vary the bit rate according to what is being displayed to maintain quality. And then I've got my QP set to 30. This is a value, the higher the number, the lower the quality. And what works depends on what you're recording. So like for games, 30 works well. I usually end up with 4K, about 30 megabit, 30 or 40 max, and it'll go way down to like 10 megabit, 5 megabit. So it's pretty efficient as far as reducing bitrate to save space. And FLAC audio, and then 30 FPS 4K, and it's set to NV12. I'm going to switch this to 444, so it's going to get full color data in full 4K for a sharper image. And there's that scene again. Switch focus so that the frame rate goes up instead of the background limited. And then let me press record. So see, the GPU clock is 1380. The usage is 0 now, and the watts are 85. So it's about 60 watts, 55 to 60. 65 actually now. It kind of stabilizes after a couple seconds. Still that same scene. Of course, the clock has gone up too. That compute is at 0, so somehow this is not using that same compute part of the chip. No frame is being dropped or anything like that. Now I'm going to stop this so the values go back to what they were before I started recording. And then for comparison, I'm going to try quick sync. So I have a profile. It's all the same, 444 quick sync. And I'm gonna, okay, so 60 watts GPU. It fluctuates a lot, because before it was 84 or 85. Anyway, there we go. There, now the quick sync is about 30% usage. GPU watts are the same. CPU has gone up only slightly, so that's really efficient. And GPU clock is still low. So it could be that, you know, the clock has to go up for NVEnc to work, and that's what makes the wattage increase rather than actual processing power. But I don't know, I guess that would be a question for NVIDIA. Now here's the problem with quick sync. Look at all those frames being dropped. 1.5% of frames are being dropped because of encoding lag. So that's gonna look pretty bad. So I'm gonna stop this. Quick sync. I'm gonna try setting this to NV12. Let's see what happens. Yeah, those values have reset. So let's see. Oh, whoops, I forgot to switch back to my World of Warcraft window. About 34%. And with this setting, there's no frame droppage. So this is better. So QuickSync can handle 444. It can handle NV12. And with pretty minimal processor use or wattage. And I'm going to stop this because I want to see how that CPU usage, if that changes, because I wasn't paying attention before. So it's a 50% and wow, it's down to 13. So QuickSync actually uses a lot of CPU power. That's interesting. But I'm also not looking at the clock, so that may not be accurate either. Just like the GPU is not accurate. But the wattage has gone down to 18. It was like 30 something and now it's down to 17. It's half. So that's not that power efficient either. It's maybe about 15 watts. So there we have it.